Welcome to Armchair Safari, the daily stream, or not a stream anymore, show now, where we try to become better designers by finding something online that's beautiful and well made, and then we break it down and try to figure out how should we do the same thing or avoid doing the same thing to make our designs better. Today, we're learning from Fons. I cannot pronounce that, but here he is on X. He's been sharing some really cool stuff recently, and I want to highlight specifically this. So this is a Finder portfolio made with Framer. So this should be an actual site, but I couldn't find a link to the site, so I'm just going to look at the screenshot. Look at this. This is freaking beautiful. Okay, so this is his portfolio page basically, and I just love how he structured this because it's so incredibly. It's so you just get this feeling of understanding exactly what you're looking at because you're using something like Finder or Explorer every day, all day, and it's a really, really good idea, and it's also incredibly focused because this just tells you that he knows exactly why you come to his portfolio page. It's to see stuff he's done. So actually, let's go through the structure a little bit so we understand what we're looking at. So it is made to look like the the Finder window. So if you're not a Mac user, Finder is the same thing as Windows Explorer. So it's the file system browser app, basically. And in this case, what we have at the top is Fonsman's avatar. We have an about, contact, link, and a search box. So this is just reminiscent of like the toolbar and search bar that you have at the top. And then we have these three panes where we have normally just files and a preview. But in this case, we also have a header. And I just love how this is structured because it's so flat. So we just have the header that says who he is, where he is, and then we have the different sections of things that he's done, and then you just have a list of the things he's done. And when you click one of them, it opens that in the preview and you get additional meta information about that thing. It is just such a geniusly flat or shallow web design, and at the same time, it has literally everything you really want to see from a portfolio. Like I'm sure that if we dive into one of his product design things, the amount of meta information will increase, and you will learn a lot more. But what people are really looking for with a good portfolio is just the short, bite-sized information, like what is this? What was your contribution to this? And like, what was the process like? What worked? What didn't work? What happened with this? Because they're really just looking to understand how are you involved in this, and how did we end up with this thing as a result? So I think it's an absolutely genius design in its structure. And now let's talk a little bit about the visuals instead. So this glass morphism he's using is actually very reminiscent of what's going on in macOS right now. I don't think it's the same. I think he's made a take on this that is a bit more dark mode, but it is pretty damn close and it looks fabulous. He also chose one of these super abstract backgrounds that are available in macOS and have been for some time now. But I don't think I've ever seen this one. I think it's custom and it's a great one because it also sort of offsets some of the colors he's been using in the design. So it offsets the folder colors, and it also picks up some of the greens in his recent work here. Now, you couldn't keep that up, of course, over time, but the fact that it does mesh just a little bit tells you that Fons put some real thought into how he would present this design, which is always really lovely to see. Uh, Additionally, the visual hierarchy of this is super, super simple. You're looking at the two things that you should be looking at. It is either his face and then headline, or his headline and then face, depending on how you would glance. And then it's immediately to the selected work. So it's very, very easy to get this. And since it's the entire page that is the navigation, anything you click will basically just make sense because you're clicking through the navigation just as you would everywhere else. It's a really smart idea. How he has structured everything on the page is also really nice. I'm pretty sure this is quite reminiscent of what's going on in Mac OS, but he's put some real work into just making sure that the lines are clear but not distracting. I'm talking about the spacer lines here between the different sections. And all of the typography is very clear but subdued and out of the way. every like the sizing of these thumbnails are all very much in line with what macOS is doing. They're small. You can sort of see what they're doing, but they're very small. And the same thing is true for the icons. It's just very easy to see, and all of the paddings and offsets margins are just really great. So there's a lot to be said about this that's very good. I especially like how he's reusing what is normally is like system information, like how big is this file in bytes, into something like, oh, this was created at this time, not that this second, but around this time, and it was made for this client, and I'm using these tags to sort of tell you what it's about. It's a really interesting way to reuse it. I really like this because it's the meta information not about the file, but of the work that ended up creating the file. So it's a quite a deep statement about like what this information is. Maybe he didn't even think of that, which is one of the loveliest parts of creativity, right? When you're just working on something, you're just trying stuff out, and suddenly something works, and you just go on that path, and you end up with something, and you go like, "Huh, yeah, this works. This is nice. This is good." And you think about it, and you go like, "Wow, this works," because there's like actually a really deep logic to it. But you didn't plan that. That's sort of just like you discovered this while working, and I love that about creativity. So, what is bad about this? Is there something bad about this? Let's think about this for a second. Um, Not really. Like, there are things that I would try to see if they work differently or better, but those would only be opinions. There's nothing in here that I would pick out as like a genuine design criticism. There's nothing in here that is wrong or in any way distracting. So no, I think this is a really good piece of design that we're looking at here. Does this work for the end user? Well, thankfully, for once, I am actually the end user of this because I have, for the last 5 years, hired a bunch of designers. So if I had this portfolio sent to me, I would be very happy to spend a couple of extra minutes walking through this person's design because I know that like if someone sends this to me, they probably thought a lot about their work. They probably thought a lot about how to present their work, and that's going to give me not just much better insight into them, but it's also way likelier that it's going to be someone that I would like to work with. So I'm really impressed by this. I'm saying that for me, yes, I think this is totally a useful design. So well done, Fons. Thank you so much for sharing this and letting us learn from this. And I also have a special announcement. Tomorrow is going to be, it's actually a special occasion too, because tomorrow Sweden, and I'm Swedish originally, celebrates Lucia, which is like a winter festival thing where we celebrate light to sort of remember that the light is coming back because in December it's incredibly depressing and dark in Sweden. And it's also going to be the last show for Armchair Safari Season 1. So I'm going to take a break over Christmas and New Year's, and then we'll see in January if I'm going to come back or not. Let me know what you think. Was this valuable for you? Was this useful for you? Let me know in the comments below or in the next tweet or whatever. And yeah, I will see you tomorrow. Have a nice day. Bye bye bye.